My final Shameless Season 1 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important. If you aren't caught up to the point where I am, or rewatching or watching Shameless, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description for you. If that happens to be the case and you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. While I've never reviewed episodes of Shameless on this channel before until this review series, I did do a series finale rant of the Shameless series finale. So if you've watched every single episode of Shameless and want to check that out, I'll put that right here with about 20 seconds left to go in the video. And of course, I'll remind you later on in the video that that's going to be there. This will be Shameless Season 1, Episode 12, the Season 1 finale. The title of this episode is called Father Frank, Full of Grace. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode today. Frank wakes up after his fun with Karen. Tony said Lip could do 5 years if they try him as an adult. Lip said he stole the car and Ian didn't know anything about it. Frank asks Kev about the age of consent in Illinois. Fiona is going to stay at the station as Jasmine wanted to drive her home. She probably wanted to kiss her a bunch of times too. Frank's passed out outside in the snow and Sheila throws a snowball at him and she's out of the house again. She's taking baby steps. Sheila, she's doing well. Sheila tells Frank that she's worried about Karen due to the stuff that's happened with her father. Frank tells Karen it was amazing, but we have to stop. And then Frank gives Karen some hush money. Now, this wasn't something that Frank really anticipated on doing. I mean, Karen kind of brought it on. Granted, Frank didn't necessarily try to stop her, but it wasn't like he planned this and like coaxed her into doing this, even though she kept like showing herself naked to him, or at least her chest and that. Tony asks the detective what it will take to get Lip and Ian off the charges, and he says they need to tell him who took the car. He says, you know, they won't snitch, and he's going to end up giving the detective Bears tickets, season tickets and playoffs, if the Bears actually make the playoffs, come on now, to get them off. Fiona asks Ian where he got the car and if it was from Steve. He doesn't say anything, but by not saying anything, that kind of admits guilt that, yes, Steve's the one that did it. And then he tells Fiona that he's gay. Not something she really didn't know already. Karen's actually sending her video with Frank to everyone at Eddie's work, including Eddie. Jimmy Steve is giving his house to Tony. He thinks that Lip and Ian are still in jail, and this is his way of getting them out. Man, Tony, he's scheming here. V meets Jasmine, and well, she's not really a fan, and V and Kevin kind of get pushed off to the side, I had noticed in these couple episodes. Lip goes to see Karen, they fuck, and then Karen tells Lip that they should stop seeing each other, and Lip even apologized for being an asshole, but apparently Karen doesn't care, at least at this moment. Lip goes home, tells Ian Karen fucking dumped him. Ian calls Karen kind of a slut, and Lip says, well, so am I. Karen actually, of course, sent the video to Eddie's job. Eddie watches Frank fuck his daughter, Karen. Ugh. Eddie goes to Sheila's place and chases Frank. Luckily, Frank kind of heard him talk, so Frank was ready to run out the door and run for his life, as he should. Debbie was going to tell Fiona about Steve, but she already knows. Well, Fiona knows some things, but she doesn't know Jimmy Steve, and she doesn't know that he was going to be a doctor and all this other stuff, but she didn't want to hear what Debbie had to say. Well, I think Debbie thought she knew every little detail. Eddie goes to the alibi and tells Kev Frank's a dead man when he sees him, and Frank's hiding under the bar, and Kev covered for him. Good for Kev. Jimmy Steve wants Fiona to come to Costa Rica with him. Jimmy Steve tells Fiona He loves her, and then they kiss, and then Jimmy Steve leaves. Lip tells Fiona, because he's apparently down there kind of lurking in the shadows, he's right. You should go, because Jimmy Steve said, Lip and Ian can kind of take care of the kids, and, you can get out on your own. They're good enough to do this, and you've done more than enough, and we'll be all right. All of Eddie's coworkers are watching Karen's video when Eddie goes back to work after chasing Frank for a whole night. Lip hears about Karen's video. He sees the video for himself. Well, we don't actually see him watch it, but we see him look for it. And then Lip goes to yell at Karen. Fiona tells V she might be in love with Jimmy Steve. Lip actually tries to run Frank over in a car, who we thought was going to be Eddie, and it turns out to be Lip, so that was kind of a surprise, and beats Frank up a little bit, punches him a few times for fucking Karen. Ugh. And Kev, luckily, is there to break it up before any permanent damage can be done. Frank tells Sheila that she's the only one that's nice to him. Well, yeah, that's weird, because he's not very good. Eddie actually jumps into a lake with a large cinder block tied to himself, apparently trying to commit suicide because of the video that Karen had did. Karen and Lip end up hanging out and talking. Frank tells Lip he's sorry from outside, standing below Lip's window, and he lets Lip piss on him from the window. And then Frank leaves, and Lip kind of smiles like that's your acceptance. Okay, fine. While Jimmy Steve is waiting for Fiona, she decides not to go to Costa Rica. Instead, she goes to see Jasmine about the job that she had mentioned to her. And that's what ends the episode and season 1 of Shameless. So I think it was a good finale. I would have liked to seen the end. I don't like cliffhangers, but that's what season's finales are cliffhangers of, is Eddie going to die? Which, if you've already watched this, that's the case, that he is dead, eventually. So my score of this episode, I'm going to give it an 8.7 out of 10. My female character of the episode, no surprise here, Fiona. I really like Fiona. I mean, there's other people that you could mention, like Karen, like Sheila, but they just don't have the impact because they're not the female lead in the show. And then my male character of the episode is going to be Lip Gallagher. Really good stuff from Lip in this, with the issues with Karen, beating up his own father, and etc. And I'm really interested to rewatch to see how Sheila changes to somebody that actually leaves the house and goes places. That's I don't remember all the details of things that happen in this show. I remember bits and pieces, but I don't remember what seasons they are. But this was a pretty good season overall, and I'm glad that I started reviewing this show. It took a couple episodes for me to get fully into it, but I'm actually looking forward to watching these episodes. So you've heard what I have to say. Now, of course, it's your turn. If you're a fan of Shameless and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, make sure that you Hulk smash that like button. Share this video with anybody you know that's a fan of Shameless, or put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Shameless. What would you rate this episode, and whom would be your male and female characters of the episode, and any other tidbits that you want to leave? And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to check my original Shameless series finale rant right there. Don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel. You're watching the video anyway. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.